Prologue: The secret known by the ancients. The great sages of old times knew one great secret, the secret of creating reality through imagination. They did not write about it in books, nor did they speak of it aloud. They passed this secret from teacher to student in whispers through experience. They knew that if this secret were revealed to the whole world, humanity would change drastically. People would cease to be victims of circumstances. People would become creators of their own destiny. Imagination is not the ability to make things up. It is the ability to create. Hermes Trismegistus. In 2024, this secret began to awaken again. In a small town on the Black Sea coast, a meeting took place that changed the lives of 3 people. Their stories will form the basis of this book. Imagination is not just a dream. It is a signal to the universe. It is a program for reality. It is an energy code that starts working instantly. Imagination is not just the ability to invent fairy tales. Imagination is the energy engine of reality. When you imagine something, you are not just thinking about it. You are creating an energetic model of that thing. This model begins to resonate with the surrounding world, and the universe, like a giant resonator, responds to this frequency. If you want something, the entire universe will conspire to help you achieve it. Neville Goddard: this is not a metaphor. It is a law. It is a principle that works beyond time and space. What happens when you imagine? Your consciousness forms an image. The brain does not distinguish between reality and imagination. When you vividly imagine something, neurons activate in the same way as during real action. This image emits energy. Every thought has its own frequency. Every feeling has its own vibration. And this energy begins to attract corresponding events. This energy attracts corresponding events, people, circumstances. The law of similarity works unfailingly. You attract what resonates with your frequency. Reality changes, not because you got lucky, but because you created it with your energy. But it's important to understand, you don't have to do anything. You don't have to struggle. You don't have to prove. You just have to imagine. Part 1. Alexander, the engineer who lost faith. Chapter 1. Life in a cage. Alexander Petrovich had been working as a design engineer for a large corporation for 12 years. He had a stable salary, 180,000 rubles a month, a good social package, and the respect of his colleagues. At first glance, a successful 38-year-old man. But inside him lived a pain. Every morning, waking up in his one-room apartment in a residential district, he felt his soul sinking deeper into a pit of despair. He got up at 6:30, drank coffee from an old mug with a crack that he couldn't throw away. It reminded him of times when he still believed in dreams. At work, everything was predictable. The same blueprints, the same reports, the same colleagues who said the same phrases. His boss, Ivan Petrovich, repeated every day, "Alexander, you are our best specialist, but you are too dreamy. You need to be practical." Alexander dreamed of something else. He wanted to create something real, something that would leave a mark on the world. At university, he studied to be an architect, but his parents persuaded him to become an engineer at stable work. He remembered how at 22 he drew building designs that could change the city's architecture. He saw how glass and metal merged into one, how light penetrated the structures, creating a magical atmosphere. But now he was drawing ventilation schemes for shopping centers. In the evenings, he looked out the window at the gray sky and thought, what if I had taken a different path? What if I had taken a risk? But fear was stronger. The fear of losing stability, the fear of failure, the fear of judgment. He had become a prisoner of his own security. Chapter 2. Encounter with the book. One day, returning home from work, Alexander went into an old bookstore located in the basement of an old house. The owner, an elderly woman with silver hair, always greeted him with a quiet smile. "Hello, Alexander Petrovich. An interesting book came in today." She handed him a book with a sea green cover. It said, "The Immense Power of Imagination, How You Easily and Simply Materialize Reality." "What kind of book is this?" Alexander asked. "It's ancient wisdom," the woman replied. "They say those who read it change their lives." Alexander laughed. He didn't believe in such things. But something inside prompted him to buy the book. Perhaps it was the last hope for change. Chapter 3. The first revelation at home. Settling on the sofa, Alexander opened the book. The first page surprised him. Imagination is not the ability to make things up. It is the ability to create. Alexander frowned. It sounded like nonsense, but he kept reading. The great sages of old times knew one great secret, the secret of creating reality through imagination. They did not write about it in books, nor did they speak of it aloud. They passed this secret from teacher to student in whispers through experience. They knew that if this secret were revealed to the whole world, humanity would change drastically. People would cease to be victims of circumstances. People would become creators of their own destiny. Wealth does not reside in coins or paper, but in an invisible flow of energy. It is summoned through spiritual law. Your financial state is a reflection of vibrational alignment. The further he read, the more surprised he was. The book said that reality is created through imagination, that thoughts have a frequency, that feelings attract events. This is all nonsense, he muttered, but kept reading. Thomas realized that his pursuit of technical perfection had blinded him to the true currency of music. The vibration of pure joy attracts an audience and abundance. The relationship with money begins in the invisible world of feelings. Alexander remembered Thomas from the book, The Alchemy of Financial Thinking. He was a musician who understood that real music is not about precision of execution, but the vibration of feeling. Suddenly, he understood. He too had lost the feeling. He had lost inspiration. He had lost the joy of his work. Chapter 4. The Experiment. Alexander closed the book and thought, what if he tried? What if he imagined he was already a successful architect? He closed his eyes and began to imagine. He saw himself in a modern office, surrounded by building projects he had created. He felt clients admiring his work. He heard colleagues calling him a genius. Alexander felt joy, real joy, the kind he hadn't felt in years. This is just imagination, he told himself. But why was his heart beating faster? He opened his eyes and looked at his hands. They were shaking. From excitement, from fear, or from thrill. Chapter 5. The first changes. About 2 weeks later, something strange happened at work. Boss Ivan Petrovich came up to Alexander and said, Alexander, we have a new project. An international company wants to build an exhibition complex. You will be the lead architect. Alexander couldn't believe his ears. He had never held a leadership position. Why was he chosen? I don't know, Ivan Petrovich. You are perfect for it, he interrupted. Your creativity and professionalism have been noticeable for a long time. In the evening, Alexander opened the book again. He read, the universe responds to the frequency you vibrate at. When you start feeling successful, the universe starts working for you. He understood. His frequency had changed. He had started to feel successful, and the universe had responded. Part 2. Elena, the doctor fighting pain. Chapter 6. The pain that won't let go. Elena Sargeevna had been working as a doctor in a city hospital for 10 years. She had a reputation as an excellent specialist, but inside her lived a pain, chronic lower back pain that started after the birth of her second child. At first, she thought it was temporary, but the pain didn't go away. It intensified, became unbearable. She tried everything: massage, physiotherapy, acupuncture, even surgery, but nothing helped for long. She felt like a traitor. As a doctor, she was supposed to help others, but she couldn't help herself. Every morning, she woke up with pain that reminded her of her weakness. Her husband, Dmitry, was patient. Their 2 children, Masha, 8 years old, and Petya, 5 years old, were her support. But the pain prevented her from being a real mother. Mom, let's go to the park, Masha asked. I'm in pain, sweetie. Maybe tomorrow. These words broke her heart. She wanted to be healthy. She wanted to run with the children, play with them, be a real mom. Chapter 7. Meeting with the psychologist. One day, her friend Anna, who worked as a psychologist, offered help. Elena, have you tried imagination techniques? Maybe it will help. Imagination. Elena laughed. You want me to imagine I'm healthy and the pain will disappear. Why not? Anna replied calmly. There is scientific research showing that imagination can affect physical condition. Elena was doubtful, but desperation made her try. Chapter 8, the first experience in the evening. When the children were asleep, Elena sat in a chair and closed her eyes. She tried to imagine her back being healthy. At first, it was difficult. She felt the pain. How can you imagine health when the pain is real? But then she remembered Anna's words, don't think about the painful back. Imagine a healthy one. She began to imagine. She saw her spine straight, her muscles relaxed, energy flowing freely. She felt warmth spreading through her back. She didn't think about how it would happen. She just felt that it was already there. After 10 minutes, she felt the pain lessen a little. It was a small change, but it was a start. Chapter 9. Daily practice. Elena began to practice every day. In the morning, before work, she imagined being healthy. In the evening, before bed, she felt her body resting and recovering. She didn't think about how to get healed. She just felt health. After a month, colleagues began to notice changes. Elena became more cheerful, energetic. She stopped complaining about pain. You look better, Nurse Marina said. What are you doing? Nothing special, Elena replied. But inside she knew the secret. Chapter 10, the miracle of healing. After 2 months, the pain really began to decrease. Not because she was taking medication, not because she was doing exercises, but because she changed her idea of herself. She stopped vibrating at the frequency of sick. She switched to the frequency of healthy. One morning, she woke up without pain. Real, physical, tangible pain. She got up, stretched, ran to the bathroom. Her body was light, free. She cried, not from pain, from joy, from liberation. Part 3. Dmitry, the lawyer who lost love. Chapter 11, Emptiness in the Heart. Dmitry Vladimirovich was a successful lawyer. He had a private practice, a good reputation, high income. But in his personal life, he felt emptiness. He dated different women, but the relationships didn't last long. He thought something was wrong with him, that he didn't know how to love, that he was not worthy of love. He didn't know that his internal program, not worthy of love, blocked the possibility of real relationships. He didn't know that his fear of loss prevented him from being open. Every evening he returned to his apartment and felt loneliness. He watched TV, drank wine, thought about the past, about Lybov, about the woman he had lost 3 years ago. She left because she felt that Dmitry couldn't open up, that he was afraid to show his weaknesses, that he was afraid to be real. I love you, she said, but you cannot love me. He didn't understand what she meant. Now he did. Chapter 12, Searching for Answers. Dmitry began reading books on psychology, relationships, personal growth. He was looking for answers. He wanted to understand what was wrong with him. One day he came across an article about the power of imagination. The author wrote, "Love does not begin with searching for a partner. Love begins with creating the frequency of love within yourself." Dmitry didn't believe it at first, but desperation made him try. Chapter 13, the first experiment. He closed his eyes and began to imagine being in love. He didn't think about a specific woman. He just felt the state of being in love. He imagined his heart filling with warmth, how he cared for his beloved woman, how they laughed together, hugged, built a future. He didn't think about how to find a partner. He just felt she was already near. After a few days, he began to notice changes. People treated him more warmly. Women started smiling at him. He himself became more open. Chapter 14, meeting Anna. One day at a conference, he met Anna. She was not what he imagined an ideal woman to be. She was real. She didn't try to be someone else. She was herself. And Dmitry felt a deep, energetic connection between them. They started talking. First about work, then about life, then about feelings. For the first time in many years, Dmitry felt he could be real. "You're so genuine," Anna said. "That's rare." Dmitry smiled. He understood. He had stopped being afraid to be himself. He had stopped being afraid to love. Chapter 15, the love that came. A year later, they got married. not because they were searching for each other, but because they created the frequency of love. Their relationship was based on trust, respect, mutual understanding. They didn't try to change each other. They accepted each other as they were. I wasn't looking for the perfect woman, Dmitri says. I created the frequency of love within myself, and the universe sent a person who resonated with that frequency. Part 4, The Meeting of the Heroes, Chapter 16. A chance encounter. One day, in a cafe on the seashore, Alexander, Elena, and Dmitri happened to meet. Alexander was sitting at a table, reading a book about imagination. Elena came in for coffee. Dmitri came to talk to a friend. They didn't know about each other, but when they sat at the same table, a strange connection arose between them. They felt something united them. Are you also reading about imagination? Alexander asked, looking at Elena. Yes, she replied. I use it for healing. And I for attracting love, Dmitri added. They began to tell each other their stories. They didn't expect their paths to cross, but the universe decided to show them the secret of creating reality. Chapter 17, Shared Revelations. You know what's most interesting, said Alexander. We all used the same thing. Imagination. Yes, added Elena. But each of us used it in our own way. We all created our reality, said Dmitri. But not through effort, through feeling. They began to discuss how imagination works. Alexander talked about his book. Elena shared her healing experience. Dmitri talked about love. But why does it work? Elena asked. Because the universe doesn't know what you want, Alexander answered. It knows what frequency you are vibrating at. Chapter 18, Deep Understanding. They continued talking until late evening. They realized that what united them was not only experience, but also understanding. Imagination is not just the ability to make things up. It is the energy engine of reality. When you imagine something, you create an energetic model of that thing. This model begins to resonate with the surrounding world, and the universe, like a giant resonator, responds to that frequency. If you want something, the entire universe will conspire to help you achieve it. Neville Goddard. How to get rid of fear and doubts. Fear is the biggest enemy of imagination. When you are afraid, you create a blockage. You don't allow yourself to feel the joy of it already being there. How to deal with fear. Acknowledge the fear. Don't deny it. Just say, I'm afraid it won't work. Don't fight the fear. Just stop paying attention to it. Focus on the desire. Return to your imagination. Repeat, I already have this. I trust the process. Example, how fear blocks imagination. A man dreamed of starting his own business. He imagined it, felt joy, but deep down he was afraid. He thought, what if it doesn't work out? What if I lose money? What if no one buys? These thoughts created resistance. His business didn't develop. When he stopped being afraid and started feeling that the business was already successful, everything changed. Clients started coming. Income grew. Why? Because he stopped vibrating at the frequency of fear and switched to the frequency of success. Imagination is not magic. It's science. Many think imagination is magic, but it's science. Scientific research shows that. When you imagine an action, your muscles activate as if performing it. When you imagine success, your brain starts producing the same hormones as with real success. When you imagine health, your immunity strengthens. This is not belief, it's biology. Example, scientific proof of the power of imagination. In one study, athletes were divided into two groups. The first group trained physically. The second group only imagined training. After a month, both groups showed almost identical results. Imagination gave 90% of the effect of real training. Why? Because the brain does not distinguish between reality and imagination. It reacts to the image the same way. How imagination affects physical reality. Imagination doesn't just affect your consciousness. It affects physical reality. Example 1. Impact on health. A woman suffered from chronic pain. Doctors couldn't help. She began to imagine the pain disappearing. She felt her body becoming healthy. After a few months, the pain really disappeared. Doctors were surprised. Why? Because her consciousness changed the physical state of her body. Example 2. Impact on the environment. A man lived in a noisy apartment. The neighbors constantly made noise. He began to imagine his apartment as quiet and peaceful. After a month, the neighbors became quieter. They even apologized for the noise. Chapter 19. The decision to unite. We must share this with others, said Dmitri. Yes, Elena agreed. It can change many people's lives. Let's create something together, Alexander suggested. A book, a course, a community. They decided to join forces. Alexander, the architect of reality, Elena, the master of healing, Dmitri, the guide of love. Part 5, Creating a New Path. Chapter 20, the beginning of a new project. They started working together. Each brought their experience, knowledge, and stories. Alexander created the structure. He developed a system of exercises, practices, meditations. He understood how energy works, how frequencies are created. Elena brought depth. She spoke about the connection between body and consciousness, how imagination affects physical state. Her healing stories inspired. Dmitri added warmth. He spoke about love, relationships, emotions. His stories showed how imagination affects the heart. Chapter 21. The first meeting. They decided to hold the first meeting in the old bookstore where it all began. They invited 10 people, those who were searching for answers, who felt emptiness, who wanted to change their lives. Alexander started with theory. He explained how the law of attraction works, how frequencies are created, how imagination influences. Elena shared her story. She told how she healed her back, how she overcame pain. People listened with interest, with hope. Dmitri spoke about love. He told how he found Anna, how he overcame fear, how he learned to be genuine. Chapter 22. The first results. After the meeting, dozens of people approached them. They wanted to learn, practice, change their lives. One woman, an accountant named Olga, told how she started imagining having her own business. 3 months later, a client approached her with a collaboration offer. A man named Sergei, who suffered from depression, started imagining feeling happy. A month later, he found a new job and restored his relationship with his children. A woman named Katya, who struggled with excess weight, started imagining herself already slim. After 6 months, she lost 25 kilograms. Chapter 23. Community growth. Their community began to grow. People came not only for knowledge, but also for inspiration. They saw that change was possible, that reality could be created. They began to hold regular meetings, online courses, individual consultations. Every story inspired others. Alexander created new practices. He developed visualization techniques, meditations, working with frequencies. His approaches helped people achieve results faster. Elena deepened the knowledge. She studied the connection between consciousness and body, between imagination and physical state. Her research helped people heal. Dmitri developed the emotional side. He helped people open their hearts, overcome fears, find love. His approaches made people happier. Chapter 24. New stories. They continued collecting stories. Each story was unique, but they all had something in common: the power of imagination. A woman named Irina, who lived separately from her husband, started imagining them being happy together again. 3 months later, her husband himself suggested talking. They started from scratch without accusations and claims. A man named Andrei, who dreamed of becoming a musician, started imagining himself as an already famous artist. He felt himself playing for a large audience, people applauding, his music touching hearts. A year later, he recorded his first album. A woman named Natalia, who was afraid of public speaking, started imagining herself speaking confidently in front of an audience. For months later, she was offered to give a presentation for major clients. She spoke confidently and professionally. Part 6, Deep Philosophy. Chapter 25, The Nature of Reality. One evening, sitting on the seashore, the 3 friends began a deep conversation about the nature of reality. "You know what's most interesting?" said Alexander. "We all think that reality exists outside of us. But actually, reality is a projection of our consciousness." Dmitri finished for him. "Exactly," Elena nodded. Everything we see, feel, perceive is a reflection of our inner world. They began to discuss quantum physics, consciousness, the nature of matter. They realized that modern science confirms ancient knowledge. The observer influences the outcome of the experiment. Consciousness forms reality. We are not just observers. We are creators. Chapter 26, The Connection of All Things, but if everything is a projection of consciousness, Elena asked, then why do we feel separate? Because we have forgotten our true nature, Alexander answered. We have forgotten that we are part of a single whole. But how to regain this understanding? Dmitri asked. Through imagination, Elena said. When we start feeling healthy, loved, successful, we return to our true self. They realized that imagination is not just a technique, it is a path to awakening. Chapter 27, Unity and Diversity. It's interesting that each of us used imagination in our own way, said Alexander. But the result was the same. Yes, Elena agreed, because the essence is the same. Different paths to one truth. And that's beautiful, Dmitri added. We are different, but we are one. We are unique, but we are one. They realized that what united them was not only experience, but also understanding. That every person can find their own path, their own frequency, their own reality. Chapter 28, The Responsibility of the Creator. But if we are creators of our reality, said Alexander, then what is our responsibility? The responsibility to be honest with ourselves, Elena answered. The responsibility to feel, not think. The responsibility to love, not fear. And to help others, Dmitri added. We are not just receivers. We are transmitters. They realized that their mission was not just to change their own lives. Their mission was to help others understand their power. Part 7, Practical Methods, Chapter 29. Alexander's Method, the Architecture of Reality. Alexander developed a system he called the Architecture of Reality. It included, Step 1, defining the desire. Be specific. Don't say, I want to be happy. Say, I want to feel joy every day. Step 2, creating the image. Paint a picture of your dream in your mind. Make it bright, detailed. Step 3, adding emotions. Feel how you will feel when it happens. Feel the joy, gratitude, lightness. Step 4, accepting it as reality. Tell yourself, this is already here. Not this will be, but this is already here. Step 5, trusting the process. Don't try to control how it will happen. Just trust the universe. Chapter 30, Elena's Method, Healing Through Imagination. Elena developed a system she called Healing Through Imagination. It included, Step 1, accepting the state of health. Don't fight the pain. Just imagine you are already healthy. Step 2, creating an image of health. Visualize your body as healthy, strong, full of energy. Step 3, adding sensations. Feel warmth spreading through your body, the pain disappearing, energy flowing freely. Step 4, daily practice. Practice this for 10 to 15 minutes morning and evening. Don't skip a single day. Step 5, gratitude. Thank your body for healing. Thank the universe for help. Chapter 31, Dmitri's Method, Love Through Imagination. Dmitri developed a system he called Love Through Imagination. It included, Step 1, creating the frequency of love. Don't search for a partner. Create the frequency of love within yourself. Step 2, imagining the state of being in love. Feel your heart filling with warmth, how you care for your beloved person. Step 3, opening the heart. Don't be afraid to be genuine. Don't be afraid to show your weaknesses. Step 4, acceptance. Accept whoever comes. Don't look for the perfect one. Look for resonance. Step 5, developing the relationship. Develop the relationship through trust, respect, mutual understanding. Part 8, New Stories and Revelations. Chapter 32, Victoria's Story, Overcoming a Midlife Crisis. Victoria was a successful 45-year-old businesswoman. She had a thriving business, a beautiful house, everything she dreamed of in her youth. But suddenly she felt emptiness. Every morning was a struggle. She didn't understand what it was all for. A psychotherapist suggested she try the imagination technique. Imagine you have already found your true purpose, he said. Victoria began to imagine how she helps other people, how her work brings benefit, how she feels meaning. She didn't think about what exactly to do. She just felt the state of purpose. She imagined inspiring others, how her experience helps people, how she feels inner fulfillment. After 6 months, she sold her business and started coaching for women. She hadn't planned it, she just followed an inner call. I wasn't looking for a new calling, says Victoria. I created the frequency of purpose, and the universe showed me the path. Irina's story, how imagination helped restore the family. Irina and her husband had lived separately for 2 years. They loved each other, but constant quarrels destroyed the relationship. Both suffered but didn't know how to restore harmony. A psychologist suggested Irina try the imagination technique. Imagine how you are happy together again, he said. Irina began to imagine them hugging, laughing, supporting each other. She didn't think about how it would be. She just felt the joy of this connection. She imagined them solving problems together, respecting each other, building a common future. She felt love filling her heart. After 3 months, her husband himself suggested talking. They started from scratch without accusations and claims. Their relationship became deeper and stronger than before. I wasn't trying to change my husband, says Irina. I changed my frequency, and he began to resonate with that frequency. Natalia's story, how imagination helped overcome fear. Natalia was afraid of public speaking. Even at office meetings, she felt panic. This hindered her career growth. A coach suggested the imagination technique. Imagine yourself speaking confidently in front of an audience, he said. Natalia began to imagine herself standing on stage, speaking clearly and confidently, the audience listening with interest. She felt her voice sounding calm, thoughts coming easily. She didn't think about how to overcome fear. She just felt confidence. She imagined receiving applause, colleagues admiring her speech, management noticing her talents. After 4 months, she was offered to give a presentation for major clients. She spoke confidently and professionally. She was promoted. I didn't fight the fear, says Natalia. I created the frequency of confidence, and the fear simply disappeared. Pavel's story, finding inner peace. Pavel was a successful entrepreneur but felt internal anxiety. He constantly worried about business, money, the future. Stress prevented him from sleeping, enjoying life. One day he read about the power of imagination. He decided to try. Instead of thinking about problems, he began to imagine feeling inner peace. He didn't think about how to get rid of anxiety. He just felt calmness. He imagined his mind clear, his heart calm, how he trusted life. He felt tension leaving his body, thoughts becoming light. After 3 months, the stress really decreased. The business continued to thrive, but Pavel ceased to be its prisoner. He learned to trust the process. I wasn't treating anxiety, says Pavel. I created the frequency of peace within myself, and the external world began to match that frequency. Lyudmila's story, regaining youth. Lyudmila was 58 years old. She felt old, tired, without energy. Wrinkles, gray hair, joint pains all reminded her of age. One day she began to imagine feeling young, not physically, but internally. She didn't think about cosmetics or surgery. She just felt the youth of her soul. She imagined herself full of energy, laughing, interested in new things, moving easily. She felt her heart beating youthfully, her thoughts fresh and clear. She didn't think about how to rejuvenate. She just felt she was already young. After a year, acquaintances began asking what she had done. Her skin became radiant, energy returned, movements became light. Doctors were surprised, but Lyudmila knew the secret. I wasn't trying to rejuvenate my body, says Lyudmila. I rejuvenated my idea of myself, and the body responded with that youth. Part 9, Deep Reflections, Chapter 33. The nature of time. One day, discussing their stories, the friends came to an interesting conclusion about the nature of time. You know what's most interesting, said Alexander. We all say changes happened after some time, but actually, time is an illusion. Elena finished for him. Everything happens in the eternal now. Exactly, Dmitri nodded. When you create a frequency, reality changes instantly. We just don't always notice it. They realized that time is not a linear process. Time is a way of perception. When you feel you already have it, reality corresponds to that feeling. Chapter 34. Freedom of choice. But if everything depends on imagination, Elena asked, then where is freedom of choice? Freedom of choice is in which frequency to vibrate at, Alexander answered. You can always choose the frequency of love instead of fear, the frequency of success instead of failure. And that is true freedom, Dmitri added. The freedom to be yourself, not who others want you to be. They realized that freedom is not an external state. Freedom is an internal being. Part 10. A New Beginning. Chapter 35. Expanding influence. Their community began to grow. People came not only for knowledge but also for inspiration. They saw that change was possible, that reality could be created. They began to hold regular meetings, online courses, individual consultations. Every story inspired others. Alexander created new practices. He developed visualization techniques, meditations, working with frequencies. His approaches helped people achieve results faster. Elena deepened the knowledge. She studied the connection between consciousness and body, between imagination and physical state. Her research helped people heal. Dmitri developed the emotional side. He helped people open their hearts, overcome fears, find love. His approaches made people happier. They began to think about new horizons, about books, films, international projects. They understood that their mission was not just to help people in their city. Their mission was to change the world. We must share this with the whole world, said Alexander. Yes, Elena agreed. It can change millions of people's lives. Let's create something great, Dmitri suggested. Something that will inspire the whole world. They began planning new projects. Books, courses, films, international meetings. They understood that their path was just beginning. How to avoid mistakes. Mistake 1. Mixing desire and fear. When you say, I want, but I'm afraid it won't work, you create an internal conflict. You send to opposite signals to the universe. Solution. Tell yourself, I already have this. I trust the process. Mistake 2. Constantly checking the result. Many people constantly check if their wish has come true. They look at their bank account, phone, mail. This shows they don't trust. Solution. Accept as fact that it is already here. Stop checking. Start feeling the joy that it is already realized. Mistake 3. Discussing desires with others. When you tell others about your desires, you create resistance. People might say, it's impossible, it's difficult, you're not worthy. Solution. Keep your desires inside. Trust the process. Don't share with others until it manifests. Mistake 4. Focusing on how it will happen. When you constantly think, how will it happen, you create resistance. You show you don't trust the universe. Solution. Focus on feelings. How will you feel when it happens? What will you experience? Completion and beginning. One evening, sitting on the seashore, the 3 friends were summing up. You know what's most interesting, said Alexander. We started as 3 separate people and became one whole. Yes, Elena agreed. We are different, but we are one. And that's beautiful, Dmitri added. We found not only the power of imagination, we found each other. They realized that their story was not just a success story. It was a story of awakening. Epilogue. You are the creator of your reality. You are not a victim of circumstances. You are not an observer. You are a creator. You can change your life with imagination alone. You can create what you want without effort, without struggle, without proof. Just imagine, just feel, just trust, because the universe is already working for your desire. Final practice. Create your reality today. 1. Close your eyes. 2. Imagine yourself standing before what you want. 3. Feel joy, gratitude, lightness. 4. Say, I already have this. This is already here. Thank you. 5. Open your eyes. 6. Continue the day with this frequency. Remember, you don't have to prove you are worthy. You don't have to fight for what you want. You just have to imagine it is already here. and the universe, like a giant resonator, will start working for you. You are more than you think. You are stronger than you feel. You are richer than you have. You are the creator of your reality. Do it today. Do it now. Do it in this moment. Because your imagination is your reality. This text is based on real examples, scientific data, and spiritual principles. Apply it with love, trust, and openness. Your imagination is the most powerful tool of creation. Use it. Additional practices for developing the power of imagination. Practice 1. Imagination meditation 15 minutes 1. Sit in a quiet place. 2. Close your eyes. 3. Imagine you already have what you want. 4. Feel all the details, textures, sounds, smells, emotions. 5. Remain in this state for 10 to 15 minutes. 6. Finish with gratitude. Practice 2. Imagination journal daily 1. Every evening, write down 3 things you imagined. 2. Describe what emotions you experienced. 3. Note what changes occurred in reality. 4. Thank the universe for manifestations. Practice 3. Desire visualization weekly 1. Once a week, create a collage of your desires. 2. Use pictures, words, symbols. 3. Place the collage in a visible place. 4. Look at it every day and feel it is already here. Practice 4. Imagination in motion daily 1. During walks, trips, work, imagine your desires. 2. Don't think about how. Just feel what. 3. Do this for 5 to 10 minutes a day. 4. Notice synchronicities and coincidences. Concluding words: imagination is not fantasy. It is power. The power that can change your life. The power that can create the reality you dreamed of. The power that can turn dreams into reality. Don't wait. Don't doubt. Don't fear. Just imagine. Because everything you can imagine already exists in potential. And when you start feeling it as reality, the universe starts working for you. You are a creator. You are a magician. You are a god. And your power is in your imagination. With love and faith in your power, your guide to the world of possibilities.